All right, welcome back, guys, and we are back on Tay for part 3 of that time I joined the army. And where we left off, had just started the shark attack for basic training, and they made us put all our stuff in the bays, the crowded bays, and it's just nothing but chaos at the moment. And then they tell you put all your stuff in a locker and get outside. So that's where we'll pick up. So they're screaming at you, they're yelling at you, and there's always one that's outside who's just waiting there to pick up people as they file outside. And at this point, they've broken the platoons up. So we all get outside, and we're behind the barracks. And if you've never been to Leonard Wood, or you've never been to, I assume this is probably universal for all the basic training places, but they have these PT pits is what they call them. And it's like monkey bars, and as a turkey's calling. But it's monkey bars, and it's where you can do climbing drills and stuff like that. But in case you fall, the thing that's supposed to catch you is some ground up, cut up tires. And in Missouri, in the middle of the summer, them things were hot. They were hot, and by the time you were done, your hands were just covered in black soot. Stay still, buddy. Oh, man. Wish I had the shotgun. But by the time we get out there, it's midday, I would say, and they make us bring our duffels out, and they're going through like a checklist. The drill sergeants are yelling at you, and you're going through their checklist, and they want you to, they're going to say, 2 pairs of PTs, and you need to hold up 2 pairs of PTs, one in each hand. And then they're going to say, a PT belt, and everybody's going to hold up a PT belt. And if you're missing anything, then you have now picked yourself out to get yelled at for something that's probably not your fault, but that's just going to be the nature of the beast. See, basic training, they break it down into 3 phases. And right now, this is phase 1. It's called red phase, and this is when they are going to treat you the absolute worst, okay? They're going to treat you like you're an idiot, like you don't know how the military works, because you really don't. That's kind of like, hey, they're right in that regard, and this is the worst time for basic training. So after they go through all your stuff outside, they're going to... You're getting around lunchtime, and they're going to take you to the chow hall, and they're going to make you line up. And you're not allowed to talk, obviously. Anytime you're eating, you're not allowed to talk. If you talk in line, they're going to scream at you and yell at you and maybe cut your lunch short. And they're going to give you 2 cups, and they want those cups full of water, and they're going to make you hold it in this really awkward way where it's like wrist to wrist. And it's supposed to teach you how to hold a grenade for much later in basic training, but it's just super, super awkward. And you got to hold them even while you're filling them up, you have to hold them that way. And one of them always has to be filled with water. A neat trick, if you want water or milk. Water or milk. So I'd usually double up. You have a Camelback on you that's full of water at all time anyways. So when you're getting smoked and they say drink water, that's because, the last thing they need is a trainee passing out while they're smoking you. But this is kind of just the way it's going to go for the rest of the day. You'll eat your food, and then you're going to go back upstairs, and they're going to smoke you, and then they're going to tell you what they expect. And for me, there were 3 drill sergeants that were always there. I know one platoon only had 2, but for the most part, it's 3. And they're just going to introduce you to like what's expected of you, and it's going to be in a loud tone because you're in red phase, and you're going to be in red phase for at least 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks. Red phase will consist of like the introduction. We're going to get issued like your weapons and stuff, and they're going to show you how to do drilling ceremony, how to march. That's a possible diamond turkey. And I just pulled a 300. Did he fly away? No, he didn't fly away. He did not fly away. He's going to fly away, though. We're never going to get it. Dang it. All right, we'll note that. around here, there's a diamond turkey. See if we can't find his needs on. But yeah, the red phase is going to consist mostly of learning that kind of stuff. They're going to issue your weapon. They're going to teach you how to march and how to do cadence, and they're going to promote someone to be the platoon guide, but he's going to get fired multiple times. I actually didn't get to be the platoon guide till, I don't know, maybe a few weeks. I think I was into the second phase, you know. All right, hold on. This lady's gonna talk way too much, so there we go. Let's see if we can't find that turkey need zone. But red phase is going to be after you issued your stuff. That's like phase 1. You're going to get introduced to Sharp, EO, all these briefings, rules of engagement, stuff like that. And this is all going to be in phase 1. And I'm pretty sure phase 1 actually ends with the confidence course. That sounds right to me. And the confidence course is like the rappel tower, and you've probably seen some videos. If you're heading to basic, you've probably looked these things up. But it's like a rappel tower. The little monkey bars where you're gonna have to like kind of use your legs, and you're kind of upside down. You got to scoot along the wire. That's all during that phase, and this is the phase where like you will get severely smoked. I mean, we got smoked in the showers. We got smoked before we showered, after we showered, the whole deal. But you're gonna learn a little bit more about like, okay, this is when I don't need to be messing around. This is when I can actually mess around a little bit after the end of the day. Oh, good. That's what needs on. Maybe that's that turkey. But they're going to wake you up every day at like 4 in the morning. It's going to be super obnoxious the way they wake you up, because they're going to come in, at least for us, they came in with like pots and pans, just banging the things together. And, but you will get good sleep. They're smoking you. They're making you PT. You're PTing every day, bright and early, running miles. You're running everywhere you go. And anytime you get loud, they're going to make you PT. So it was the best sleep I ever got in my life, to be honest with you. But then after you get kind of the deal down with cadences, drill and ceremony, you know how to stack your weapons properly. They're going to show you where your rank and stuff goes again. And at this point, you're going to know it. I said earlier at reception, they're going to give you a quick version. If you start messing up here, they're going to make your life miserable. So you get pretty good at it pretty quick. That's a big lad. Shrimp 0 for 300. Come on, man. Now my heart's going. But after you kind of get in the rhythm of how things are going to work for red phase, they're going to start lightening up a little bit. And they're going to move into what they call white phase. I think it's white phase. The second phase, and it's pretty much, at least for us, and I think this is going to have to be universal. This is where you're going to do most of your... Did I not get a good shot on that? I don't reckon I did. But this is mostly going to consist of just rifle qual, right? So you're going to be at the range for probably 6 weeks. This is the longest phase, because the whole thing is trying to get people qualled on rifles. And some people are come ready to go. They may have a background in shooting. And then you're going to have people who've never fired a gun in their life. And it's just different levels of comfort with weapons, and people learn at different rates. I know we had guys that were qualling the first day they did it. I qualled relatively quick, but then you had some guys that you were convinced they were never going to qual right? Oh, my guy just passed out. All right, so let's find a better way. But you're gonna have guys that never really qual, and it'll be on the last day. And I swear, guys, that I I think they have to do something. I don't know if they crank the sensitivity up on the targets or what they do. But you'll have guys who haven't qualled ever, and now all of a sudden they're qualling on their rifles. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But hey, if you qual early, then your reward is they're going to make you part of the range detail, and your whole life is going to be loading mags for hours while the kids who can't qual continually try to qual. Or you're going to be sitting in the bleachers, bored out of your mind, probably reading their little Army Blue Book they gave you, which if you haven't seen it, the drill sergeants are going to scream at you, "Where's your blue book? Bring your blue book. Read your blue book." The blue book is not exactly a page turner, and you're going to probably run through it before you even leave reception if you're actually reading it. And I mean, there's a whole page just for the Army creed, the Army fight songs. I mean, it's stuff you're going to go through relatively quick, and then they want you to just keep rereading it, just in case you thought you were going to have a good time because you qualled fast. Let's see. Where are we at? Okay, we're going to have to start going over to the east. But that's for the most part, that's all of white phase. The really like notorious part that everyone talks about, like, man, that must be awful. What is happening right now? I'm not going to be able to shoot him because he's on the run, but he's also a potential diamond. I don't want to hard shot him. All right, let's see if we can find his need zone. So just in the first two videos, there was nothing. I could just sit here and tell a story and walk around, and now I got a level 3 turkey and a level 5 mountain or feral goat. Actually, you know what? I knew this feral goat was here. I saw him earlier. Is that his feed zone? Yeah. All right, we'll come back and get him later. Unless he stops running. But the really notorious part of basic training is the one that everyone talks about is just being miserable is the red phase. The white phase, they're still kind of hard on you, but they're laxing up a little bit because you kind of get the groove at that point, and that's by like week 4 through, I want to say like week 6, 7. And then you end things with blue phase.
I know I'm biased, but
Okay, she didn't have anything else to say. All right. Yeah. So in blue phase, and this is kind of like if you guys ever take a college course or even an online course, there's a capstone where it's like this is the culmination of everything you've learned. Blue phase is going to be where you're going to they're not just absolutely digging in you 24/7 anymore. Because at this point they assume you either got it or you don't, right? You've either figured out how to make it work, or they may have already separated you if you didn't. They may have already hit you with that failure to adapt discharge and sent you on your way. But it's at this phase where you're going to have to, you already qualled on rifle, so that's done. You have to pass a PT test. For me, it was the APFT. I know they've moved past that to the ACFT now. But at this point, you should be in the best shape of your life because they're running you 24/7. They're smoking you 24/7. So, like, a lot of you guys that are going in, if you're really concerned about passing the PT test, if you're in relatively decent shape before you go in, you're going to be fine. Even if you fail the first PT test, you're probably going to be fine because you're going to be without doubt in the best shape of your life. They're going to absolutely smoke you to a point where like you couldn't possibly fail the PT test. Especially if you're dumb. If you're if you're smoked a lot, like you keep messing up, you're going to be in great shape. Oh, they're
Hope I'm
class
not
3.
interrupting, but thought you might like to know that I finally finished my book. The tentative title is Long Way From Home, The Untold Story of New Zealand's Last Moose. You make more than a passing appearance, of course,
Okay.
but it's up to you whether you want to remain anonymous or not. Anonymous, you could say.
Oh boy.
Sorry. Anyway, I'll be sure to send you a copy once it's out.
So in blue phase, now that they're treating you like humans again, this is you're going to pass the PT test we just talked about. You've already called on the rifle. This is where you're going to do the grenade throw, which you may have in your mind what it's going to be like throwing a grenade. You may have, played some of the video games and stuff. That boom, when you actually throw it, the way it'll shake the ground is something that you just have to experience. They'll put you in this little bunker like thing that's kind of dug into the ground, and you're all going to be in there, and you can't see. There's no windows, and they take you one at a time while you're holding your grenade, and you finally get out there. But the whole time you're in that line, in that bunker, you can hear the ground shaking. You can feel it like a small earthquake. And then when they finally bring you out, you won't even get to see the explosion. They're going to throw the grenade, and the drill sergeant's going to grab you and yank you to the ground and jump on top of you. You're not going to see it. You're just going to sit there, throw it, and hopefully you get a good throw. There are some people who don't get good throws, and then you can just sometimes feel the shake is substantially closer than it's supposed to be. And a drill sergeant's over there just absolutely digging into whatever kid decided to just half-ass their throw. And also in blue, so after you call on that, you can't really fail on that. I guess you could like discharge it when you're not supposed to. That'd be impressive, like E&D on a grenade range. But after that, the big culminating event, so you pass your PT test, the rifle qual, the grenade throw, you did the confidence course, you did the little PEX course thing with a little competition between the platoons. And then you are at the point where it culminates in the they call the forge now. They didn't really call it the forge when I was in. They just called it an FTX3. This was the third field exercise we did. But this time, instead of it being like a overnight thing or like a half a day thing, this time you're going to be out there for a full week, pulling guard, digging trench lines with your E-tool, eating MREs, which at Leonard Wood, at least in my experience, I'd rather have MREs than hot A's. So they bring off the hot A's. It was always like chili mac, which is just gross. So it was mostly MREs. If you haven't had one and you're going in the Army, look for the ones that have the applesauce. That MRE Zapple sauce was something else. I'd usually trade for it if I had anything worth trading for. There are certain MREs you'll figure out the good ones and the bad ones. The Mexican stew's bad. The tuna, if you like tuna's pretty good. I like the buffalo chicken, although it's just uncooked chicken. Also, remember that whatever you're getting, you're not going to be able to do anything with it. You can't cook it. They have heaters in there. They make you give the heaters up because you may be an idiot and burn yourself with them. So no heaters for you. You're going to eat cold MREs. Somehow it was still better than the chili mac they'd give you. But this FTX, at least in Missouri, if it's in the winter, it can be really, really bad. For me, during the day it would get warm. So we'd walk around and do our little squat exercises and stuff. And I stepped in a puddle of water, and I didn't think anything of it. And then when I'm in my tent that night, I decide, well, I'm just going to put my boots outside and let them dry. I come out the next morning, the toe is just frozen over because it got down to like in the 20s, I think, with frost, like light snow. It it was not a fun time. And then to top it all off, you get to walk for how many kilometers? It's a relatively long walk, several miles. It's kind of the culminating ruck march where you have all your stuff on your back and you're rucking, and there's going to be people falling out, and you have to try to help them. Because at this point, if you've made it this far, nobody is supposed to fail basic training who made it all the way to the final FTX. Okay, this is the spot where they assume everyone is going to pass. And once you get back, there's a little ceremony. At least it was for us. We got back on, I want to say Sunday. Sundays are always count the Sundays, guys. If you're in basic, that's a pretty good advice I was given. Sundays are your relaxed days. They can't smoke you. They can't. Well, they could, but they don't really. They kind of let you kind of just chill and have a decent time while you're there on Sunday, because I mean you're supposed to be able to go to like church services if you want, or they have, I mean, all the different religion services. I know people that were going to multiple religious services just so they could get out of the barracks for a little bit. But yeah, there's only so many Sundays. I think there's like 10 Sundays. So if you just mark off the Sundays, it'll go by faster. But we got back on a Sunday, and they didn't really mess with us because we had just been through it. The only thing they did is they made all of us take our boots off, and then we had a drill sergeant come by to make sure we didn't like have an infection or something in our feet because it got so cold. But after we got back later that night, we sleep, and then you're up early again. But instead of PT, they tell you put on your OCPs, your military actual military uniform, and then you're gonna march out there, and they're gonna have, at least they had music playing and all this stuff, and there's like a ceremony where they're gonna give you your like what did they? It's like a military card or like pad, like something to say like, hey man, you did it. And the drill sergeants are going to give it to you, and they're going to congratulate you for making it, and it's going to be a big thing, it's going to be nice. And that's kind of the way the forge ends. Is I know for me, when we came back, there's like the XO up there, the first sergeant up there, all the drill sergeants are up there, and it's a closer chamois. It's a good chamois too. Oh, but they're level 3, so what's the point? And they had like five-finger death punch just blaring and trying to get everybody super hyped for it. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was a fairly it was an emotional thing, because these people who've just been telling you that you're not ever going to make it, that you're an absolute failure, that you should just quit, are now telling you like, I'm glad that you're in, I appreciate it, you're a soldier like me. Like it really hit home at that point. And this is roughly maybe a week before the actual graduation and family day. And man, that day, you finally get your phone back for a little bit. You finally like see people you haven't seen in months, and you went through this whole time, which is, I mean, getting yelled at, getting smoked, getting hit with pugil sticks, hitting people with pugil sticks. We had an organized fight club in our barracks. We had people caught sneaking food. We were getting yelled at for, people sneaking sandwiches and stuff out of the DFAC into their lockers. You had people who thought they were going to fail out have actually passed the PT test at the end. It's just been a roller coaster for everybody. And now all of a sudden your families are going to be there. And on family day, they're going to line you all up and you're going to see your family. And until they say go, you can't really do anything, which which is always a super awkward encounter. The time where you have, there's another chamois comes by me, I'm going to get trampled. But the interactions between the family and the actual drill sergeants is crazy because the drill sergeants can't really like do
Pikey
anything to
escaped on the
them.
back of a whale, and through twists and turns, here we are today. Te Waipo Namu. Well, that's the South Island to you. The place of greenstone. There's nowhere else I'd rather live.
All right. But yeah, they can't really do anything, but they have to keep you and the family kind of separated until they say go. And then after they say go, you get you're basically you're released to your families until I want to say like right at 5. They're going to line everybody up to make sure everybody came back. And they're going to go through your stuff because you're allowed to like leave post with your family. Now that you have your CAC, you can get on and off post. So you can leave post with your family, which I did. And this was the first time in months that I had any caffeine or any like dip or tobacco products or anything. It was such a relief. And then my mind, I'm thinking, I could bring some of this stuff back. And then, I'd be able to enjoy it when I'm on CQ later tonight. But I saw people do that, and some people got away with it. Other ones, I mean, they do check your bags. I don't know where they put them. I don't know if they keistered it. I don't know. I have no idea how some of that dip got back to the barracks. And if I did, I'd have to plead the fifth anyways, but it happens. And then my last night was actually kind of crazy because there was one, it starts setting in on kids that aren't going to graduate, that they're going to get recycled and they're going to have to stay here longer than they wanted to. Or if something messed up with their orders, or if you are somebody that went to a 35 series and you need a clearance, let's say your clearance wasn't adjudicated, you're going to be a holdover. And I can't think of anything worse than being a holdover in the United States Army. That would be awful. But my last night, we actually had a kid who was he was going to end up being a holdover, and he was super emotional about it because he just saw his family and then realized, like, oh man, I'm gonna have to start over. I'm not gonna see them anymore. And I mean, he had shammed out of a lot of stuff, but like still, you feel for the guy because I mean, that's a tough realization to come to. And then ultimately, he starts having a fit, and I'm on CQ, and I hear it downstairs, like, and it's my drill sergeant. He's screaming, and then there's the other drill sergeant. He's a psychopath, and like, why of all of them, that's the one you want to go scream at. I don't understand, but the dude that's going to be a holdover, they're getting in each other's face and everything, and we go downstairs. He's crying, and he's crying because he's mad and angry, and he looks like he wants to swing. And then Drill Sergeant Silva, that's the guy that I'm not sure of all the drill sergeants why that's the lunatic that you wanted to swing on. But he decided that, I'm tired of this. I'll mess up. Like, I'll swing on you. And then Silva starts rolling up his sleeves. It's like, if you want to throw hands, we'll throw hands. And we're just pulling this kid back. We ended up having to literally, like, there was about 4 of us, 2 from CQ, and then 3 of us, or 3 or 4 from the actual bays come down. And we have to pick this kid up, and he's kicking and screaming because he wants to fight him. And then Silva's just screaming, come on. And the whole time we're just trying to, bring the dude back upstairs and have him go back to sleep. And then later, while I'm on CQ, he comes up and he apologizes to me and everybody else involved. And then he tells me, I just need to go back downstairs and apologize to Drill Sergeant Silva. And I'm like, brother, this is not the move. I'm not letting you go back downstairs, man. I'm not letting you go back downstairs. He was so hell-bent on going back downstairs. We basically had a watch put on for this kid to make sure that he just stayed in his bunk and went back to sleep. But I mean, yeah, I feel it. If you're gonna be a holdover, like you're kind of at the point where it's like, what do I have to lose? So I get why he wanted to, but like that was not gonna. If you're gonna, there was other drill sergeants you could have picked, and if you wanted to fight one, that probably was not the dude to do it to. 'Cause this dude was like former Marine, turn Army, turn SF, like Ranger, like it, tabbed out. This dude had everything under the sun on his chest, and this was ready to beat up some trainee. But anyways, guys, the that night is the last night you're going to be in there, which is also why I didn't bring dip or anything back. I'm this close. I'm not going to mess it up. But you end up moving all your stuff out the next morning, and it's at that point that they're ready to put you onto another plane. So you went through this giant ordeal with all these people that you're never going to see again. And you're all outside, and slowly but surely, like Leonard Wood was, it had a lot of AIT stuff too. So if you were an MP or something, or you were like a dog trainer, you had to go through basic at Leonard Wood, and they loaded those kids first, and they took them down the road because their AIT was right down the road. Then there were other ones that were going to like Fort Lee, or I guess that's when they got renamed too, but they were headed to Fort Lee, Virginia to do whatever training they had to do, or some of them were going to go to what's the Fort Observer. Some of them had to go to Benning later, or SEAL later. But for me and just a handful of other guys, we were actually because they do it by MOS. That's where you'll decide where your AIT is going to be. And for me, I was a 35 November. I was a signals intelligence analyst. So I was leaving from Leonard Wood to go to Goodfellow Air Force Base in Texas. So I had to wait a little bit longer than the guys that got to go right down the road, but I think my AIT was probably going to be a little bit chiller because mine was a fairly long AIT. It was supposed to go for right at 6 months according to my contract, but we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, that's basically it. I mean, I got other basic training stories before I get into the AIT on the next video, but that was let's see. There was the kid that wanted to fight the drill sergeant at the end. We had kids. Oh, they'll give you these chocolate bars, and it's kind of like this little morale boost. But at the end, every time, they're gonna take all those chocolate bars, and they're gonna count the wrappers to make sure no one got an extra. If they come up short, they know someone's trying to sneak it back in the barracks. And one time, we had a kid, and he's sitting there, and he was always messing up. But this time he tried to sneak a candy bar, and they counted them candy bar wrappers up. And we find out we're short one, and we find out that this kid was the one that did it, but no one's gonna rat on him. But the drill sergeant starts smoking us, and I mean they're just giving us the business for him. And this kid, he doesn't want to say anything, and then other people who didn't even do anything, they're just like saying, I did it to make it stop. Eventually this kid comes out and he says, yep, I was the one that did it, drill sergeant. And like later that night, that kid, stuff happens in the barracks. It's kind of the reason they mass punish is so that the people that get mass punished can deal with it later in the barracks. And that was kind of one of those situations because that kid got messed up. But again, don't do that kind of stuff, and that kind of stuff won't happen, But that does happen, or at least did happen when I was going through. What else? Pugils. This is a part of Red Phase, I guess. But I remember they handed us the Pugils, and they wanted us to fight. And there was a handful of people who just weren't comfortable fighting because by the time you get Pugils, you've kind of gotten to the point where people in your platoon, and you don't just want to like whoop them with a whole bunch of giant ear cleaners, but anytime you didn't have enough like aggression when you're going up, the drill sergeants are screaming at you and yelling at you. So when I went up there, I made a point, like I'm just gonna rush the dude. And the dude I went with, a guy named Rhodes from Mississippi, he's a cool guy, but like we ended up like he had the same idea, I guess. So we just charged each other with them pugils and damn near break them, and like it just turns into a giant fight. And all of a sudden, the drill sergeants are breaking it up, and they're just patting us on the back, like, hell yeah, that's what I wanted to see the whole time. But the main thing is me and Rhodes, because we did fairly well, ended up representing our platoon against the other platoons for pugils. And the one of the, I think, first platoon, they had 2 former Marines. And Marines, they play with them damn pugils a lot longer than we do. The 2 former Marines, I mean, they were older than us, but man, they whooped us with them pugils. That was an ass whooping. Me and Rhodes took an ass whooping to them pugils from the Marines. What else? I guess that, I mean, there's other stuff, but those are the main ones. Because everyone talks about, you know, if a drill sergeant got in my face, this is what I do. I never saw that to the very end, but yeah, that kid was ready to square up on Silva. That was the craziest night I ever had at basic training. Even crazier than them whooping up on that kid that stole that candy bar. Yeah, I guess that's it. And the thing is about basic, yeah, it sucks when you're going through it, but looking back, it will be the easiest time you ever have in the Army, bar none. You don't have to. You can turn the brain off. You just let people think for you, do things for it. Like everything is organized. You don't go to bed and not know what the plan is tomorrow. Everything is set in stone. You have nothing to worry about. So just get through it, and then when you're looking back, you'll have a lot more. I mean, when else are you going to get to throw a grenade or fire a machine gun? Because even when you're in the real Army, they're going to, you know, bitch about brass and everything else. Your basic training, they're just letting them things go. That's that level 5. But he's also, okay, so it's a good thing I didn't fire. I'm going to have to get the 243 when I come back out here for him. But yeah, guys, that's about it for the basic training portion. The next video, we're going to go through AIT when you actually get to Texas and start doing some SIGINT stuff. I'm not really going to talk too much about the SIGINT stuff itself because a lot of that you're not supposed to talk about, but I will cover just what AIT is like, the rules, the differences between that and basic, and then just trying to get through your classes and stuff to make sure that you eventually get to your duty station where things start to get a little bit more normalized. But till that time, guys, I've been Prince Pyramid, and I appreciate you guys sticking with me, and we'll see you next time.